Regular meeting, Thursday, September 9th, 2021. We're going to start with an invocation by Commissioner Goot and a Pledge of Allegiance by Mike Wirtz. I've stripped up on that twice, sorry.
Let us pray. Our Father, we thank you for our beautiful city, Ashland, Kentucky. Thank you for the privilege of living here and serving here. We ask you for your wisdom and discernment over this board of mayor and commissioners as we strive to make the right decisions for our city and its people. Bless our city manager, our staff and employees, our citizens, those in attendance today and in our viewing audience. Bless our meeting today. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Let us stand and salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a motion to receive and file the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have a motion. No, thank you. Do we have a motion to receive and file the minutes for the called meeting held on July 8th, 2021, and the regular meeting held on July 22nd, 2021?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearings and reports. Commissioners?
Well, here we are again with masks on. Good to see everybody. But I wanted to, if I can get it here. I wanted to say there's so much going on in downtown this weekend, and so I just wanted to let you all know about some of these things. Of course, our farmers markets at KDMC today, starting at 2 o'clock. Jonathan Cox will be at Bombshells and Ales tonight at 6:30. Jack Wheeler Live at Broadway Square at 6:30 tonight. And tomorrow, the Brothers All-American Food Truck will be at the Riverfront at 11. Voices for Vets at Broadway Square at 6 p.m. That sounds great. Ryan Bonner live at Bombshells Nails at 6:30, and John McIntyre at the Guitar Bar. And then there's a lot of other things going on Saturday, the 11th. Veterans Appreciation by Pathways at Ashland Town Center, YMCA Block Party and Open House, and there's more. So if you go on Visit AKY and look at all the activities, it just goes to show you and to prove there's always something good going on in Ashland. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioners?
I'm good.
I do want to share with the commission, Mayor Faith Dave Catlicksburg. Wanted to thank the commission for their support in sharing our chairs for their Labor Day festivities this past Monday. She invited all the mayors from the region to that event, and it was really nice way for all of us to share in celebrating the American worker. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and start or read a proclamation, if we can.
By the way, I was up there. I missed you up at Labor Day.
You did parade, and I did
parade.
I did the rocking out with was it Rodney Atkins?
Yeah, and I did the party bus thing.
You did? Oh, did you?
I did the party bus.
Great local band.
Yeah, I hadn't played for 20 months. And they played there on the courthouse desk.
Wow.
Very well attended and very well managed.
It's a
Yes.
nice event.
I applaud the Labor Day Committee and Faith.
Yeah, people of Catlicksburg have something to be proud of with that event, especially.
Yes.
All right, Commissioner, if you don't mind, I'd like to read it right from my seat, and then we'll stand together and
Okay.
Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law. And whereas September 17, 2021 marks the 234th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Matthew Perkins, Mayor of the City of Ashland, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2021 to be Constitution Week in the city, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787. Okay.
Can you take a picture for me?
Sure.
DAR?
Michelle's coming.
Sorry.
Michelle's going to do it.
Oh, okay.
Mike, you may actually have to. Yeah. Oh. Got it.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Commissioner. You always have been a proponent of making sure our ideals in the Constitution are followed. I appreciate you.
Well, on behalf of the Home Chapter of Daughters of the American Revolution, supporting the Constitution is a very big deal for us every year, so I really appreciate this.
Well,
Thank you.
We're honored to observe it. Thank you. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple quick items. First, update on the COVID status in the city. We currently have 24 positive employee cases out of 55 total exposures. 16 are current active. 9 of the employees are positive in isolation, and 7 are out in quarantine. To put this in perspective, positive cases in the past, from March to October 20, we had 13 positive cases. From November 20 to January 21, we had 26, and from August and September this month, we have 24 positive cases. Previous high rate, incident rate was 138 per 100,000, and we're at 96 per 100,000 in Boyd County. A couple other pieces of information, a couple safety items. One I just found out a few minutes ago, but earlier this week, KEME provided a dividend payment to the city of Ashland. KEME annually issues dividend checks for active policyholders with a loss ratio of 65% or less. And this is a review of policy year 2018. Our ratio was 32%. As a result of that, the city got a dividend check for $15,530. A great reflection of Mike and all the leadership for continuing to emphasize the safety culture in the city. And then just this morning, Mike notified me that we've been nominated again for the Destiny Award. If you remember, we received that last year. It's a very prestigious award that covers all aspects of safety in the city, loss ratios, et cetera. So hopefully we'll earn that distinction for a second year in a row. Another thing I wanted to talk to the public about was Pollard Mills. There's a 4-phase planned project in Pollard Mills, specifically Dixon Street, and one of those phases is currently unfinished. The city is moving forward to get that work done as quickly as possible, pending any delays in the access of materials, which is a huge challenge across the country right now. We expect to get started on that in the next couple of weeks. Probably take us about a month to do the the stormwater lines, and then we will contract out to do the sidewalks and the paving. That'll just be the portion of the road that has been unpaved for many months now. We're very sensitive to that. The elected officials are sensitive. The city staff is very sensitive to that, and we want to get it repaired just as quickly as possible. And then we'll set a timeline for the other 2 phases of that project down the road. And the last thing I just wanted to mention is there's a couple of things, at least one I know on the agenda today, and that's the paving that we have on Belmont that could potentially be impacted by delays in getting pipes. So we're expecting at least a 2-month delay, I believe Mr. Cole had sent to me earlier today, a minimum of a 2-month delay. So you're probably going to be seeing some adjustments to contracts that will defer the time based on the delays of the products to the contractors that we're working with. And pending your questions, that's all I had.
All right, thank you. This is a time of our meeting for public participation. Anyone with a comment or request may come to the podium and address the commission concerning matters related to city business, services, or personnel. Would anybody like to come forward?
As you all know, this is Suicide Prevention Month, September, always. Right now, last year, it was 22 veterans a day committed suicide. Now, it's up to 29. It's something I gave you all a little badge, has a 1-800 number on it, that way, and I'll have more of these probably by the next meeting. That's about all I've got, so I've got a statewide meeting Saturday in Greenup, so I thank you all.
Mike, thank you again for championing our military, and suicide is a concern not only for the military, but it's an epidemic amongst folks out of the military. So it's important that we recognize that mental illness is indeed an illness, and that many suffer, some in silence.
I had a friend commit, and this guy I know out of Louisville, he was a Korean War veteran. He was 89 years old. His wife died of cancer, so 2 days later he committed suicide.
Tough. We lift all those affected by suicide up in prayer. Thank you. All right. Anybody else would like to speak at this time? Okay. All right. We'll move on. Mr. Moore?
Old business, item A, second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Womack Excavating LLC for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris of certain property located in the city of Ashland for the Department of Community and Economic Development.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item B, second reading and adoption of an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Lights Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris of certain properties located in the city of Ashland for the Department of Community and Economic Development.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Lights Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris of certain property located in the city of Ashland for the Department of Community and Economic Development.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item D, second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Bobby's Mulch for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris of certain property located in the city of Ashland for the Department of Community and Economic Development.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item E, second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Ashland and Service Pump and Supply, Inc. in the amount of $45,205 for the raw water intake pump removal and reinstallation for the Department of Utilities Division of Water Treatment Plant.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item F, second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Ashland and Southern Ohio Trenching and Excavating for the Waterline Replacement Project Phase 2, Belmont Street, in the amount of $1,290,714.25 for the Department of Utility Operations Division of Water Distribution.
So moved.
Was that a second? Okay.
Second.
All right,
Whatever.
perfect, thank you. Any other?
Sorry, guys, I think I'm about a half a second behind you, so.
No worries, no worries. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item G, second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a public transportation grant agreement between the City of Ashland, Ashland Bus System, and the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for a fiscal year 2022 capital state match contract grant in the amount of $47,302.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item H, second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, adopting the revised job descriptions for water distribution field supervisor and wastewater collection field supervisor, and adding the position for a part-time operator, 1 through 4, for the wastewater treatment plant for the Department of Utility Operations, adopting the revised job description for Accountant 1 and 2 for the Department of Finance, and adopting the amended authorized positions list of the Policies and Procedures Compensation Plan and Classification Plan as adopted by ordinance number 51, series of 2017, as previously amended.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And the consent agenda, a resolution of the City of Ashland, Kentucky adopting, authorizing, and approving the course of action presented by the city manager on the items appearing on the consent agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of City Commissioners of September 9, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discuss? Okay.
Yes, I have some items.
Go
On
ahead.
item 1, there's a change in the contract from the original contract, $535,000, and the next, and the revised one is $582. Could I ask why that would be for engineering for Strand?
That is not, that was a previous amendment that was approved.
Okay.
Mr. Cole, do you remember the details of what that engineering was?
That was related to some increase in okay. How about now?
Yep,
Yeah.
there we go.
All right. For my first number, I would like to sing. The change on that particular contract was related to some additional costs associated with a change in the site that we originally had anticipated acquiring on the east side of the wastewater treatment plant. We had to switch locations to an alternate site due to conditions of an existing landfill,
Okay.
old landfill that was no longer being operated on the east side of the plant. So that's what those costs were related to.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Also on number 5, I would like to move that this be tabled till I have some questions that I have answered. Specifically that we didn't discuss the amount of what this would cost when we did our budget talks. And this would cost in excess of $750,000 for 3 years. I'm not comfortable with that right now, so I'd just like to have a little more time to know the nitty-gritty and the details on that one.
Thank you. Commissioner, a motion to remove item 5 from the consent agenda at this point would be the appropriate way to deal with that, and then it can be looked at separately.
That's my motion.
Okay, do we have a motion on the floor? Do we have a second to that motion?
Lacking a second, the motion dies.
Okay, and so Commissioner, to your point, your question though, we do need to have questions answered for you.
Yes.
So I think it's important that we get those answered. So, City Manager, what can we do to meet with Commissioner Spriggs to answer those concerns?
I can meet immediately after this meeting, or we can just discuss it here, wherever you want to do.
Well,
Commissioner.
I'm loath to talk about some of this in public, but I do know $750,000 is a lot of money. And I understand that we need to do this, but I'm not sure about how the bids went out, how many people responded, did we advertise it? Surely there's someone who could do this for a lesser charge. Why do we have a 3-year contract? Why not a year? What if they don't work out? I don't want to commit the city, the taxpayers of the city, to, we don't know what the future is. We don't know what our income is going to be in a year. I mean, we have a lot of money right now, but that's already designated. And just so I'm concerned for the fiscal part of this and how it was done.
Commissioner Spriggs, I appreciate you always being concerned about the finances, and I think it's important that we do address any commissioner's concerns here in regards to any questions they have about the agenda, and I Sure the city manager will get with you to go over those issues and concerns so that,
Well, it
Also,
would have
Mayor,
been nice
this
to have
is-
known some of these things before it comes up on here.
Mayor,
This is awarding the bid, and there also is an item under new business.
Exactly.
For the
Another
contract
Sorry,
that was
what?
in discussion.
Yeah.
What?
there is another opportunity at post the consent agenda to also have discussion.
Okay.
All right?
that was my question. Would this be more appropriate to have the discussion on new business item A and not the consent agenda?
That could be.
I think so, Commissioner.
All right. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? All right. All in favor? All opposed?
I oppose it.
Okay.
New business, item A, is first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to the City of Ashland, Kentucky, Authorizing and Directing the Mayor to Execute a Contract between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and VC3 to provide municipal information technology, IT services for the City of Ashland."
So moved.
Do we have a second? All right, discussion? Just further on,
Yes.
just,
Would you like me to address some of your concerns here, or would you
Sure.
like to discuss
Well,
later?
I don't know that if some of this is sensitive, we don't want to compromise anything, and I don't know if it's appropriate to discuss an open forum.
I can talk some of the things that, I understand what you're saying, Commissioner. A couple of the things that you just said with your initial concerns. This was bid out in accordance with procurement guidelines that's in line with state procurement code and our city ordinance. We had two bids. This bid, the bid that we're proposing that you all vote on was 1/4 or 1/5 of the cost of the second bid. We had another, we made phone calls to local companies and/or emails to let them know about this opportunity. One company that we do a lot of work with chose not to bid. Two companies from out of state contacted us in regards to this bid. So it was definitely advertised. I'm trying to think of some of the other,
Well, I do know the company that is involved in this had been here, did an assessment and charged us $8,000 for that. And I do know that you had worked a lot with them. So it just seemed to me, we had two people respond, and I did stop down at the other person and talk with them this morning, and they were misunderstanding some of it, so I'm unclear about how our bidding process is done that way. I mean, because I know that that we all worked with this other company, and so they were really familiar with it. They were really familiar with it because they'd been here, and
They did-
and had spoke
this
to you
company
quite
did-
frequently. So, I mean, because you knew about VC3 through Kentucky League of
through the
Cities.
Kentucky League of Cities.
And they were
We did a
here.
security gap analysis
Yeah.
with this company.
Yes.
They described a lot of things that you're concerned about with the risk to the city. We put together a bid to get services provided. It was done in accordance with the
Yeah, I
procurement
get that.
guidelines.
So what, did we advertise in a professional magazine or anything?
I don't
or
know if we did that or not.
Okay.
We did, to the point, that's the point I was trying to make, is that we got two phone calls from out of state.
Okay.
So in addition to another company out of state that we've done business with before, who we've been trying to work with for the last couple of years, that chose not to bid.
And you do know, I know you know this, that there are charges in there that we will be charged for extra things that they don't do. So what this amount is not exactly what it will be.
That's exactly right. So this company will come in, and I'm sure you've read the entire bid package, Commissioner, but there's language in here that they'll come in here, they'll do an assessment for approximately 4 to 6 weeks to ensure we, as a city, don't have our arms around all of our computer assets, and that's problematic. And it's reflective of what a lot of other communities have at this time, and we have not. There's two articles this week in the the Washington Times about many communities have not funded this in the past, much like utilities. They haven't done that, and it's fallen off. The risk to the city is very high. The risk to all cities is very high for malware and ransomware. We see that in the news every day. That's why we did the security gap analysis, and I would fully expect that somebody came in and did a security gap analysis would bid, since this is what they do. They do business with 300 other municipalities in the nation. They are certified by the Kentucky League of Cities.
And have you talked to any of the cities in Kentucky that they have done, that they are working with, and how do they, what's their performance level, or are the cities
Have I
satisfied?
talked to VC3?
No, have you talked to any other
No.
cities or
No, no.
municipalities in Kentucky that they, that they do this work for? And
No, but
if they?
the references are in here if we want to make those calls.
And the other thing is, the number of computers that are listed in there, is that, do we know that for sure, that there's the computers
That's part of the problem.
and 11 servers?
That's part of the problem, is that that's our best guess. We've not managed this as a city
Yeah.
since we've had computers in the cities. We've done this by directorate, and we need to consolidate that so we do manage this properly.
I mean, I know we need to do this. That's not the question. I'm just appalled at the price on this. And I also am wondering if we can't do a year contract. And because 3 is a little more scary for me. Because, we've run into problems before and with where you're stuck because you have a contract. So could you renegotiate it just a year contract?
There's language in this contract, I believe, Jim, that we can pull out of this if necessary. This also locks us in to, there's a 3% increase every year. I think you
Yeah.
also run the risk that this could go up exponentially if we bid it next year, if we just do a one-year contract. That's a risk that we take. This contract is written with a 3% increase per year. It is a 3-year contract, but we can extend it past. So if we choose to do nothing on this and you all choose to go forward with this, we keep the terms of this contract indefinitely. And again, I do want to reemphasize, the second bid we had on this was 4 to 5 times as much. We only received 2 bids.
I know, and I stopped and talked to them this morning, and they were misunderstood what was going on, especially with the 24-hour on-site person. So, but anyway, you understand I have some concerns here with this amount of money.
I do.
think everybody, when I saw that on here and it's $21,000 a month, I'm like, wow.
And I think
That's-
another good data point for you, Commissioners, that one of the things that I've picked up in some of the studies I've done on this is that for about every 100 people that you have on a computer in a city, or on an organization, you should have an IT person. So if we did that in the city, we'd be talking, if we could find people to hire into these positions to do our own, I'm guesstimating $60,000, $70,000 a position before you pay benefits. And then historically, small organizations don't hang on to IT professionals. They'll go out and start their own companies. They do things like this to where they can earn a lot more money. It's why IT is an issue across the nation. So I will do anything else, especially from the sensitive areas of information, discussing this with you afterwards. I feel very strongly this is very critical for the city to do at this time.
Well, I think we also have to be very concerned about our fiscal situation moving forward, and I know other commissioners are concerned about that as well.
Yeah, I think.
It's not just me.
I think, Commissioner, to your point, we are challenged with a future where we don't have assurances of costs and income, and this year, the federal government has blessed us with a lot of extra money to help on critical infrastructure needs. But I think, to your point, we just it is a tough number to take. I think to know that that's what we have to spend on technology is troubling. But I also think at the same time, to some of the other issues raised for the purpose of this whole bid process, there's a lot of other greater risks, and we've got to balance all those, and we hope that at the end of the day, we've made the right decision. Nothing's guaranteed, nothing's 100% foolproof, but we're going to try to do the best we can, not only to manage our finances, but also to manage our safety and security of our networks.
Well, I know
One of
when
the
they were
interesting
here and
things,
did.
Commissioner, this article that the city manager referred to in the Washington Post that was just this week, and it was titled "Ransomware Poses Threat to Vulnerable Local Governments," pointed out that in 2020, there was 2,354 local government or healthcare facilities and schools affected by ransomware. Many of them had to pay millions of dollars to either correct the situations or sometimes in ransom. And they pointed out city's information technology has been underfunded for years or decades, constantly losing out to seemingly more immediate priorities such as policing, social services. And cities struggle to retain top-shelf IT staff who can attract far higher salaries in the private sector. And it went on to say that the projections are that these threats will be increased in 2021. So it's
Well, I know when they were here and did the assessment, we were medium to low risk And I understand that we need to do this, but you have to understand my consideration too. This is taxpayer money. It's not mine.
Well, I don't think we can afford not to do it.
Well, I think we need to do it. Is there any, my concern was, this is a lot of money.
I know it is.
And
Yeah.
we just need, and I think also accountability for this contract. I think we just need to just monitor and make sure that what we're being promised as far as services, that we actually get those services out of this. Because that's, if we're paying this much money, and it is significant, then we expect a lot. And I think that's something that is the very least we should expect as a commission.
Yes.
I agree with that completely, Mayor. I'm going to jump in for just a second. It's hard to participate in the discussion. I feel like I'm kind of going over here. But Commissioner Spriggs, I absolutely appreciate the comments and the concern about the fiscal aspect of this contract. I also have those concerns. It's a lot of money. But as you and I talked kind of through this over the last couple of days, I've sort of wrapped my brain around the concept of, in the scheme of things in my head, this is critical infrastructure for us. And I do not want to see us run into a situation where we can spend this much money today in order to prevent problems down the road or head things off at the pass, instead of having to be very reactive and fixing problems that we may have not had if not for these services. So I think I agree with Commissioner Goot. I don't think we can afford not to. We obviously have, this commission is very dedicated to making sure that we spend tax dollars very, very wisely. And I expect that we'll continue to do that in the future. We absolutely, Mayor, need to make sure that we're getting what it is that we're signing up for. And if we're not, then obviously we need to look at the contract and sever the contract immediately.
Well, if there's a clause in there that if their services are going to be much like what's happening with our phone system, as I hear, then we can get out of it. I want to be proactive too. Look, when I came on here, we had the CSO. We inherited that. And so I know about when you don't want to do things and you don't spend money on things. This just happened to be an extraordinary amount of money every month. And so I'm concerned. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to vote for this. I'm going to watch every damn penny that we spend on everything else. Because now we're putting 3 years to the taxpayers. Okay? All right.
I appreciate your comments again, Commissioner Spriggs, and to all my commissioners who've commented on this. I think it's important that we as a commission understand the contracts that we are entering into agreement. I think it is important that every step of that process needs to be analyzed and scrutinized, including the bidding process, to make sure that we have the utmost integrity in how we execute all of our contracts and bids. And I appreciate, again, Commissioner Spriggs, just your concerns on all those things. Any other discussion at this time on this matter? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Item B, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashe, Kentucky adopting the revised job description for the position of maintenance technician in the Department of Utilities Division of Wastewater Treatment Plant of the Policies and Procedures Compensation Plan and Classification Plan as adopted by ordinance number 51, series of 2017, as previously amended.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item C, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashe, Kentucky amending Part 2, Employment Process, subsection A.I., Procedures for Filling Vacancies, Employment of Relatives, Part 6, Benefits, D3, Sick Leave, and Appendix C, Code of Ethics of the Policies and Procedures Compensation Plan and Classification Plan as adopted by ordinance number 51, series of 2017, as previously amended.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item D, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashe, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to submit the City of Ashland's 2021 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Annual Action Plan, substantial amendment number 2 in the amount of $575,864 plus carryover funding from previous years in the approximate amount of $539,625.21 to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and upon acceptance of said application from HUD, to execute on behalf of the City of Ashland an agreement with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to enable the city to undertake these activities and/or any and all documents associated with the grant submittal.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Item E, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky adopting the 2020 to 2024 City of Ashland Community Development Block Grant CDBG Consolidated Plan and the Program Year 2020 Action Plan Substantial Amendment Number 2 in the amount of $573,725 plus carryover funding from previous years in the approximate amount of $998,816.34 for the Department of Community and Economic Development, and submitting said documents to the Department of Housing and Urban Development for approval and implementation.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Item F, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Ashland and Amherst Madison, Inc. for the repair of the 10th Street and 18th Street outfalls in the amount of $65,000 for the Department of Public Services Division of Floodwall.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, what is an outfall?
There's a portion that goes into the river from the storm drains, and actually, this is part of last year's USACE report that came out. Get a shout out to Jack and his team. They were able to fix the one. There was 3 observations for outfalls. They were able to access the one on 34th Street and fix it ourselves with a much lower cost. These two particular outfalls are at a place where a barge has to come in and do the repairs. And as you see in the fiscal note, Commissioner, this is being paid for with flood wall funds.
Funds. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item G, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement with Community Assistance Referral Services, Inc., CARES, the subrecipient of $26,650 from the 2019 Program Year Community Development Block Grant, CB19 funds.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item H, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement with Ashland Community Kitchen, the subrecipient of $20,000 from the 2019 Program Year Community Development Block Grant CB funds.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item I, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement with Hillcrest Bruce Mission, the subrecipient of $20,000 from the 2019 Program Year Community Development Block Grant CB funds.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item J, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement with Safe Harbor of Northeast Kentucky LLC, the subrecipient of $14,200 from the 2019 Program Year Community Development Block Grant CB19 funds.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Item K, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement with Shelter of Hope, the subrecipient of $5,000 from the 2019 Program Year Community Development Block Grant CB19 funds.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item L, the reading and adoption of a municipal order entitled Municipal Order of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed of conveyance between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and John J. Hixson regarding the acceptance of the donation of 3016 Railroad Street in East Ashland.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Mr. Pullum, I went up and looked at that property. I couldn't tell which one it was, because there's one right next to it that's pretty bad. Looks like it's burned. So was this house on our list?
So just to give you a quick lay of the land. You have the Carroll Jackson Unity Center,
Yes,
and then if you're facing that, going right is a small tract that is currently tied up under some legal issues that I know Andrew Wheeler has been working on. The next property over is the Hixson property.
okay,
And then finally, the fourth property over you're talking about is the property that was burned in a fire that I know had been tied up for a while in the courts, and that is on our list.
okay.
So as soon as this is approved tomorrow, we have planned to send this property out for asbestos testing.
That's great, because,
Before
when I was doing
demolition.
census up there, those were two of the houses that were really pretty bad. So I'm glad to hear this.
Thank you.
Good job. And you too, Andrew.
And if I could, just for a
And
moment, Lorraine has done such a
Lorraine.
great job getting our demolition program set up, and
Okay.
all credit to her. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Thanks to all. Any other discussion on this matter? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item M, reading and adoption of a municipal order entitled Municipal Order of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Ashland and CGI Communications, Inc. to co-script, film, and produce a video tour of the City of Ashland, be hosted on the city website and subsequent sites deemed beneficial for promoting the city. Video chapter subject matter includes but not limited to community and economic development, tourism, healthy living, and community programs, and further authorizing and directing the mayor to execute any and all documents which are deemed necessary by CGI Communications for the purpose of the video tour program.
So moved. Wonderful.
Yeah. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor, we have a late add to new business that didn't make the agenda, and that is an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a building inspector services agreement between the City of Ashland and JGM Consulting LLC.
Okay. Do we have,
I can explain that if you need me to do that before.
commissioners, do you all need an explanation?
Could you read it again?
Yes, it's an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a building inspector services agreement between the City of Ashland and JGM Consulting LLC.
we
How
have a
much
mo-
time
So
is that?
moved.
Hang on, do we have a motion to, do we have a motion?
She moved.
So
she had
moved.
moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Now, any discussion?
How many hours a week is this?
No more than 15 unless specifically approved. And we're hoping that it will be less than that.
Okay.
Any other discussion on the matter?
Wait a minute. Are these done during the day time, I would assume?
So the primary responsibility of this building inspector, contracted building inspector, would be to do plan review. That doesn't necessarily have to happen during business hours. In fact,
Okay.
during COVID, our level 3 building inspector who did plan review often did plan reviews in the evening.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Mayor, might make one point. Just for the public, this did not get on the agenda as Corporation Counsel pointed out, but if there's anybody that's listening to this that knows anybody that is 1, 2, or 3 level certified and interested in working for the city, please apply. It's been listed twice. We've not had any qualified applicants. It's going to go out again, but we really we think it's a great opportunity for somebody to have a great career with the city. So please keep your eye on that and apply if you're interested. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Any other discussion on the matter? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Wow.
Okay. I think we have one more discussion item.
Correct. And then we have a discussion item. I think Commissioner Spriggs requested a discussion of the hours for our meetings.
When I was commissioner before, all the meetings were at 7 o'clock. And so I made a motion and we moved our meetings to noon. What we have now is a mixture of both. And beginning in October, we meet, the first meeting is at noon, and the second meeting is at 6. Then in November, we have one meeting. In December, we have one meeting, and those are both at noon. Then in January, it goes to 12 and 6. I think this is clumsy. People don't like to come out at night, especially in the winter when it's dark. I really would like for our employees to have time with their family. That 6 o'clock is right at dinner time, and I know they want to be home with their family. I would like to have discussion about moving all of our meetings to noon.
I would okay that. I'm
Hang on.
fantastic.
Hang
with
on
that.
just a second. So, Commissioner, would you like to make a motion? To go ahead
Yes.
and make the motion
It's
on
going to need to be done by ordinance.
Yes.
But if that's the sense of
So you want to direct the city
Well, there
manager
is an
to
ordinance, is
draft
there
an
not?
ordinance?
Yeah, we'll need to amend the ordinance, but I can bring that back for the next meeting if that's the sense of the commission that we want to do that.
Okay, all right.
All right.
So-
Does anybody-
Commissioner, I agree with you about it being clumsy, and it's hard for the public to understand when we meet. And sometimes it's hard for us to sometimes understand when we meet based on the schedule that we have. And I think a more consistent schedule is spot on. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Thank you, Amanda.
and I'll comment, one of the things that brought the change in times was when I ran for commissioner. We had a lot of hardworking folks that could not get away from work to attend commission meetings to address their concerns or to see or participate. I think with the advent of the technology we have provided in our chambers today, that issue is really no longer there. And so I am firmly in agreement that a solid, stable noon time would be acceptable by all, and I think it would also allow citizens, if they chose to come to our meetings on their lunch from work, to still come and address the commission as needed.
Well, I talked with the mayor before because I knew this was a thing that he had done before, and I wanted to make sure he was comfortable with it. I think it's good for all around, the employees and everybody, so
And I do agree consistencies in
Important.
time is important.
there's no
Yeah.
confusion.
Thank the Lord for my town. I mean, it's just, it's changed the whole landscape.
Yeah, it does.
You know, when I first got here, we didn't have televised meetings at all.
No.
You know, one of the commissioners I served with wanted to know if we had to wear makeup, you know, during televised meetings. And he had an objection to it, but I'm thank you guys, and you do a wonderful job. Thousands of people tune into this.
Yeah.
And they can see the meeting at all times, so
Yeah.
I think
I
it's.
remember one of the objections was that the people in the audience would start acting up for the camera.
Yeah, it'd be like a Jerry
Yeah.
Springer episode. So I'm thankful for you, and I'm for that 12
Yeah,
o'clock,
that's
being
great,
consistent.
All right, any other discussion at this time on the commission meeting times? Okay, I'm gonna ask for a motion to recess, is that correct?
Yes,
Till
recess until tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, or was it 8:30?
8:30.
Tomorrow at 8:30 here. And if we can, I'd like to recess this meeting in memory of a city father, a wonderful mayor, and a chief police that was second to none, and that would be Tom Kelly. We have a
So moved,
second?
Mayor.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I would also like to say we should remember this weekend, September 11th, 20th anniversary of September 11th. And I think we should take time to remember over the weekend the people who lost their lives in that tragedy.
Amen.
Thank you. All right, this meeting is recessed until tomorrow at 8:30. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, good meeting.